first section of this video examines the creation of the virtual lab and virtual machines within that lab. So by clicking on File Virtual Machine, it opens up a virtual machine wizard and allows you to select from a typical or custom virtual machine. It allows you to select your ISO image of the operating system that you're going to use, and by clicking Open and Next, it allows you provide a name for that VM and give it some password and username credentials. In this case, we'll call it VM5 Ubuntu Desktop. It's an Ubuntu operating system we're going to use. The ISO file has been downloaded from the Ubuntu website. We'll just give it simple password and username credentials, so we'll call it John and John in this case. By clicking Next there, it gives where we're going to store the actual VMX file. We're going to store it in My Documents in Virtual Machines in this case. Next, then we can select the disk size. In this case, we're going to select 8 GB. We don't need massive storage. It also allows to customize the hardware of the machine. You click the customize hardware, it opens up selections then for memory, processors, sound cards, etc. And it's fully customizable. Also, the network settings there are set to NAT, which will allow the machine have internet access. And finish, then just hit finish, and the virtual machine will start to create. So you can see there in the right pane in the test lab that the virtual machine VM5 Ubuntu Desktop is being booted up. And that goes through a standard boot up process as any other operating system would. And you can see it there. So the Ubuntu software now is starting to boot up. And eventually you get to a login screen after the operating system has installed. And it's pretty much the same as any other physical machine. You can log in with user credentials. The left pane in the lab here shows virtual machines that have already been created on this particular host. By clicking the Windows machine there, we're going to move into cloning. So if we click on the Windows machine that's already been there, click Next, and click Create a full clone, and give it a name. This will make a clone, an exact clone of the Windows machine that's already in the lab. It'll have exactly the same settings regarding login, IP settings, and everything. Be a direct copy. So that cloning process is taking place right now. And when complete, it'll give an indication that the clone has been created, and we'll see it move into the left-hand pane under My Computer with the rest of the VMs. And there it is. You see the name there is a clone of VM for Windows XP, so you can change that name if necessary. Next thing we're going to look at is sharing. So if we click on Edit and Preferences, there's a Shared VMs tab that we can click on. By clicking the Enable Sharing there, it enables the host for sharing. The thing to note at this point is that the port number used should be a fairly high port number, so that it doesn't conflict with other ports. I had an issue with that. I had to debug it through the use of the VMware website. So when the sharing, you can see there, shared under shared VMs in the left side, you can see that there's a number of VMs already in there for sharing. And when you click on the shared VMs, the right pane opens up again, and you can see that the shared VMs are there. So they're now open to remote. They should be open to remote users when remote users can log in. So the next thing we're going to do is log in remotely. So we click connect to server, and in the server name, if we type in the IP address of the host machine, along with the port number. And we give the username and password details of the host machine, which will be the server in this case. You click connect, and a remote user connect anyway, it's just certificates. And the remote user is now, you can see in the left pane that it shows the IP address of the host machine and the VMs that are now available to a remote user. So there's two there for demonstration purposes. The right pane will show the details of those shared VMs regarding memory and capacity, etc. So that kind of completes the test environment. We're now going to look at testing in the cloud. This is StormRunner. We're going to create a simple REST test case. So we give it a name. We click REST. We give it a name, Google Test. We give it the request URL, which is www.google.com, and we're just going to send a number of GET requests to that URL, and we're going to use a number of V users, 10, and for 10 minutes. Again, this is fully configurable depending on what it wants to do. We click run, and the test starts initializing. This has been done in the cloud through a browser on the Ubuntu machine. The browser is Firefox. So you can see that the test has been prepared. The infrastructure has been prepared to run the test on. And this is the interface that you get when it starts up. So it shows 4 graphs, running V users, which we had at 10. The hits per second, which is how many times it's hitting the Google server. The throughput, the amount of data that's been sent, and errors then, which if it encounters any problems while it's working. The bar there in the middle shows your vital statistics. You'll see your running V users set at 10. Throughput is 500 kilobytes per second, and transactions per second, hits per second, etc. So that test will then run away, and as it does, it plots on the graphs that we just spoke about. So this is a load test with a tool called StormRunner from Hewlett-Packard. So for demonstration purposes, we didn't run the whole test. We just stopped the camera or stopped the video and flicked on to the end. So it's coming towards the end of the test here now. You can see the graphs are fully plotted end to end. The number of V users has stopped and dropped off, so you can see that the throughput has dropped right off because there's no more load on the system. You can see in the top right there that the test has passed. You get a green HP and a passed wording beside it. A little email comes in on the bottom right there, which is basically your details of the test, telling you how the test is performed. This part then is the mobile testing through a SaaS offering from Keynote, and it's similar to the load testing that we just did. So when you log in, you get a list in the left-hand pane. You get a list of mobile devices. Again, these are trial versions, so you don't get to see the whole array. But basically, you've got a number of virtual mobile phones there on the left hand side, and you can drag them into the right pane to work on them. So the little green turn on button, if you click that, in this case we've clicked the HTC, and when we click on that, it'll open up in the right hand pane. So it allows, this is kind of allows workings now, so we can turn the device on, There are a number of functional tabs here that we'll just flick over, which demonstrate the workings of the test. So for instance, if you look at the info tab there, we can see information on the device. The install app tab, which is important. This allows you to install your own application up onto this particular device. So by clicking the add application button, you can upload your own application for test. Tools there, there's your keyboard, video, other hardware, camera light, off, turn on, turn off the device, etc. Pretty much what you could do with a physical device. Everything is there. And then export allows you to export screenshots for your test cases, so that you've got proof of test. And then we'll hover over the just other functionality there for sharing devices and closing down the device and returning it back to the pool. So that completes the video for the project implementation.